Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be able to join you in the closing of this Peace Summit of Emerging Leaders, the very first of its kind. And thank you for Humanitarian Affairs Asia for organising this important event. Also, thank you to the speakers who have shared their personal stories throughout the workshop to bring a message of peace. It's these personal stories that accelerate the recognition of young people's positive role in peace and security. I'm speaking on behalf of the Asia Pacific United Nations agencies who work together in the thematic working group on youth, peace and security. This working group includes, as it should, regional youth networks as equal partners. We've heard in this meeting about the United Nations frameworks for youth, peace and security, with the Security Council Resolution 2250 on youth, peace and security, Resolution 2419, which was this year, and the UN Youth Strategy, which prioritises support of young people as catalysts for youth for peace and security, as one of the 5 priorities. The Youth, Peace and Security Agenda is a crucial part for reaching the Sustainable Development Goals. All of these UN resolutions and strategies are dedicated to making the voice of youth heard in peace building. They focus on the important and positive role that young people can play in prevention and resolution of conflict, rather than young people being seen as perpetrators or victims of conflict. They recognise the contribution young people can make to peace and security if actively engaged. Bringing all of you here to Bangkok as current and emerging leaders together for peace is evidence of the power of the youth voice through engaging young people. So now is the time for the world to take the Youth for Peace agenda forward and apply it in practice. On Wednesday, many of you asked how to become a peace builder. As Mridul from the United Network of Young Peace Builders discussed, the first and perhaps the very most important tier of peace building work is within your own community, even within your own family and friends. We've seen how youth have an important role, particularly in promoting a culture of peace, tolerance, intercultural and interreligious dialogue. Too often we hear about the minority of youth participating in acts of violence, terrorism or xenophobia. Youth as peace builders need to be heard strongly in their local community, speaking out against discrimination and religious intolerance. As university leaders, particularly relevant is ensuring that educational institutions are, firstly, spaces free from all forms of violence. Secondly, ensuring that these institutions are accessible to all youth, including marginalised youth. And thirdly, taking steps to address young women's equal enjoyment of their right to education. Preventing violence against women is an important part of every peace builder's role. Importantly, we increasingly live in the global community through digital spaces. Technology and the internet can be a powerful tool for both negative and positive social change, both for spreading divisiveness but also for peace. Your voice has the potential to be heard as peace builders in many online fora, countering hate speech and negative attitudes which divide our communities. Globally, our society is very diverse. We are not all the same with the same opportunities for participation. All of us in this room have obtained a level of privilege through access to knowledge. We need to include those who are not so privileged. My generation has not done very well on inclusion. There are marginalised communities who do not have a say, ethnic minorities, people with disabilities, LGBT communities and many other marginalised groups. Your generation can and must reach out to include young agents of peace from these communities who are not already part of the established youth organisations. Working together, we are much stronger and we must lead by example. As well as the responsibility to include marginalised young people, there's a responsibility to mentor the next cohort of young people so that all your experience in youth leadership is not lost. Please take a personal pledge to share the discussions on peace in this meeting with some young people, younger peace builders who are not here, and give freely of your time in the future to ensure that the next generation of young leaders can achieve even more than you are going to achieve. We then have all of you together for peace, but also a new generation ready to step up into their role. In the session I attended on Wednesday, a strong message was starting small with peace within yourself and within your close community, understanding differences and respecting diversity. Your choices, ideas and innovations are already transforming the world, but it is a long path, as Janice was just explaining. Cultivating social cohesion, which is essential for peace, is a long-term process. Being involved will slowly make changes, and small efforts can be multiplied if many young people take up the cause of peace building. So congratulations again to Humanitarian Affairs Asia for organising this excellent initiative, and congratulations to each of you for carrying this forward into your communities and into the future. Thank you.